So if you're thinking about moving to Austin, Texas, you've probably heard about the famous neighborhoods like Zilker, Hyde Park, Westlake, Terrytown. But what about the neighborhoods that nobody ever talks about? But today we're gonna talk about the top 5 neighborhoods that Austin, Texas locals secretly love. Now these are places with history, character, and charm, and honestly, they're almost never on any of these kind of best places to live in Austin lists. Now we've helped people and families buy and sell homes all over the greater Austin area, but time and time again, the 5 neighborhoods that we're gonna show you in this video just continue to surprise me. But here's the thing. One of the neighborhoods on this list has a very personal connection to me that I've never really shared before. And some of these areas are probably gonna change the way you see Austin. All right, so neighborhood number 1 is Eubank Acres. And so Eubank Acres is a northeast Austin neighborhood. And I can remember, this was several years ago, we had some clients who were looking for a home and they just couldn't quite find anything in Austin that really resonated with them, that really spoke to them, that had the kind of character and charm that they were looking for. And I found this house for them in this neighborhood, and I had never been into the neighborhood before. And I can remember driving out here with them, and we were driving along I-35, we were driving along the feeder road, and it was like, my map says that we're like 30 seconds away from this place, but like, where is this neighborhood? And then we turned in on this street, and all of a sudden it was like we drove into this magical old Austin world. And all of a sudden it was just like, you know, tons of trees, like these kind of low slung ranch style houses with just like a ton of charm. And I mean, it's the neighborhood that we're driving through right now. Anyway, so long story short, we saw the house. We were all just completely charmed by this neighborhood and by the house, honestly. And our clients, James and Angel, holler, they still live here to this day. And since then, our team has been able to bring a lot of clients out here, and we've had several clients move into this neighborhood and they adore it. All right, so something that you might have noticed on our channel before is we love to show kind of newer construction, suburban neighborhoods, kind of like master plan communities. And we love those communities. And I think there is a ton of value there. But something that I think a lot of people don't know is that our team, we work a ton kind of in the central city of Austin core with like old kind of historic neighborhoods like this with character. And so we want to do a little bit better job of just kind of showing you guys both. And so if you're sitting there and you really are thinking about moving to Austin and you're like, man, like new construction seems awesome, resale kind of older homes with character also seem awesome, and you really want help kind of weighing the pros and cons, like you really need to reach out to our team because we can sit down, talk about what you love, talk about what you hate, and help you determine kind of which of those options is best for you. All right, so back to Eubank Acres, which is where we are right now. So where exactly are we? So we're in North Austin, and we're just south of the Walnut Creek Metropolitan Park. We're north of Breaker Lane, and we're in between kind of I-35 and Lamar Boulevard, just to give you an idea. Now, most of the houses in this neighborhood were built sometime between the kind of early 50s and kind of the early to mid 70s. And so that is a lot of what you're gonna see, just like what's here behind me. So like I said, low slung kind of ranch style houses with great big lots. This is just something that is very, very rare for being this close into downtown Austin, especially at these prices. And something that I talk about a lot here is the differences kind of between North Austin and South Austin. So just to catch you up a little bit, conventional wisdom says that kind of South Austin is more kind of artsy, funky, kind of blue collar, and then North Austin is more white collar, maybe a little bit more stuffy, business, like maybe a little bit more uppity. But this neighborhood is in North Austin, and honestly, every time I come into here, it really feels like I'm being blasted into the past in South Austin. So I think this is kind of this like South Austin culture in North Austin. So again, you know, you'll see like yard art out here, and like you never see yard art in North Austin. It's very, very rare. Now, in terms of price points for Eubank Acres, I would say at the very low end, if you're gonna buy a smaller house on a little bit of a smaller lot, you're probably looking at like $450 to $475, but that home is probably gonna need a bunch of work. And at the high end, like if you're gonna spend around maybe even $650,000 to $700,000, you can get a really great house that's been updated, and you're probably gonna feel really good about it. Now, a couple pros of Eubank Acres are almost any housing option that you can find over here has a great big lot. Like just turn around right here. Like look at this. Like just look, you got what is that, like a badminton court, something? You got like this huge front yard, and I guarantee you, but I happen to actually know about this yard because my client's house is right next door, but the backyard is even bigger than the front yard, right? Okay, so you're gonna get huge yards here. And then honestly, you have super easy access to main roads. And so, I mean, I-35 is just a hop, skip, and a jump from here. You got Breaker, you got Lamar. And so all of those roads are going to get you super easy access to 183 and Mopac. So it's really, this is kind of a cool little north central hub, and you can kind of get wherever you want pretty easily from here. All right, now one of the only cons of this neighborhood is that there's hardly ever any homes in this neighborhood that actually go on the market that sell. So like I looked it up recently, and in the last 6 months, I think there's only 3 or 4 homes that have actually sold in this neighborhood. So if you're looking at what we're showing you and you're really liking it a lot, you really have to let us know right away, because this is one of those neighborhoods where we really need to be watching it like a hawk. All right, so the next neighborhood that we wanted to show you is in Northwest Austin, and it's called Northwest Hills. We actually just grabbed an iced coffee and iced chai at Epoch Coffee right in the middle of Northwest Hills. So big amenity of Northwest Hills. But honestly, I am shocked that this neighborhood does not come up in like all of the most popular neighborhoods in Austin's videos. I mean, I've done those types of videos and I've never highlighted Northwest Hills. So maybe I'm part of the problem, Aaron. But yeah, for like locals who live in Austin already, Northwest Hills is definitely seen as kind of an aspirational neighborhood. So for local Austinites, I mean, Northwest Hills is definitely going to be on most people's list of top 4 or 5 best neighborhoods in Austin. All right, so Northwest Hills is in Northwest Austin, and you can kind of think of it as being everything like north of 2222, west of Mopac, and kind of stretching out toward Loop 360. And when you think about Northwest Hills, you want to think kind of tree-lined streets like this. It is a super established neighborhood. Most of the homes here are built kind of between the 1960s and even some into the 1980s. But I mean, all around us here, like you also have a lot of kind of infill new construction. Like here, let's turn around. Look, here's this kind of like modern farmhouse right here, and right here you've got this kind of contemporary newer construction. You got this older house probably built in the 70s, this one probably 60s, 70s, kind of low slung ranch style. So there's kind of something for everybody out here. And something else you're going to notice about Northwest Hills whenever you come out here is that the terrain is like, it's very hilly and there's a lot of variation out here. And so for some of these neighborhoods, there's just like big flat lots. That's definitely not what you're going to get out here in Northwest Hills. They're bleh. There definitely are a bunch of flat lots out here, but for the most part, it's going to be nice and hilly. Like, oh, deer, there's deer everywhere out here. And so that kind of tells you something. I mean, we are like surrounded by nature out here in Northwest Hills, which is why there's just like so much wildlife. But for the most part, it's just like squirrels, deer, things like that. Now, let's talk about price points. So at the very low end, like you're going to need to plan on spending at least $900,000 just to get into Northwest Hills. And again, that's probably going to be for an older home that's going to need a lot of work on kind of a smaller lot. And on the high end, you're going to want to plan on spending around $2 to $2.5 million. And most of that price difference is going to be contingent upon the quality of construction, how updated it is, and definitely the lot size. Now, let's talk about some pros of Northwest Hills. So I would say the pros of this neighborhood, apart from the fact that it's obviously just freaking beautiful, is that the neighborhood feels very connected. So a lot of kind of older people live here, younger people, families, people just getting started with their families, kids going off to college. Like, again, kind of something for everyone out here. And it just feels like a very connected neighborhood. But also the schools are really good. So you got Murchison Middle School, Anderson High School, like honestly, some of Austin's best. And also you've got the location. Like for being in Northwest Austin, like it does still feel pretty centrally located. Like you can just hop onto Mopac and be right into downtown just like that. And another thing I think is really cool about this neighborhood is that it does feel just like quiet and peaceful. And I don't know, it's like that's a really hard thing to accomplish in the Austin area, like to be so convenient, so close to major roads and highways, but also maintain that just kind of chill kind of vibe. Okay, now a couple of cons about Northwest Hills. One is it's not very walkable. And when I say that, you might think I'm crazy because I am literally walking with Aaron right now. But I have always said, like, I think there's 2 kinds of walkability, right? So the first type of walkability, in my, like type A walkability, we'll call it, is you are just right next to cafes, restaurants, retail, coffee shops, bars, things like that. And I would say type B walkability is like, it's safe to walk around in your neighborhood. Like you're going to see a lot of neighbors out and about. You know, crime is really low and it's just like a very pleasant and beautiful place to walk. So I would say Northwest Hills definitely does not have type A walkability, but you definitely do have type B walkability. And then honestly, the only other con I would say about Northwest Hills, I actually know a couple things. One is some of the houses here are on like pretty darn busy roads. So you're not gonna probably wanna buy a house on Far West Boulevard or like on Spicewood Springs or on Steck. Like those are really busy kind of east-west thoroughfares, or even on Mesa, which is a big north-south thoroughfare. And so like if you're, again, looking at Northwest Hills and you're liking it, it really does matter exactly which pocket of Northwest Hills you live in if you want a certain type of lifestyle and if certain things are important to you. So if you're looking and you want some guidance on that, just reach out to us and we'll walk you through it. The only other con I would say about Northwest Hills is that it can be cost prohibitive, right? So like I said, on the high end, you're talking $2.5 million. But really, if you want a home that you can just move right into, like you probably shouldn't even consider it unless you can confidently spend $1 to $1.25 million. And there are just a lot of people who can't do that. All right, neighborhood number 3 is a neighborhood in central Austin, right across the street from my personal neighborhood where I live. And it's a neighborhood that a lot of people in Austin, like they know where it is if you were to describe it or explain it to them geographically, but a lot of people in Austin don't know what this neighborhood is called, and they definitely do not know much about it. And it is called Aldridge Place. All right, here we are. We're gonna get out here in just a little bit. There's a park that goes kind of north-south right through the middle of the neighborhood. It looks a little kind of dry and burnt out right now. I mean, we're kind of at the end of the summer, but I walk here a lot. My wife and I walk here a lot in the mornings and the evenings. It's beautiful, super idyllic. And like I said, we're gonna get out and show you around a little bit. And I think once you see it, you're gonna see why this is one of Austin's best kept secrets. I honestly don't know if the neighbors, the residents here are going to be super excited that I'm doing this video right now. So be sure not to share this video with anybody. Just kidding. All right, so let's talk about exactly where Aldridge Place is. So essentially you can think of it as the neighborhood that is north of UT, or the University of Texas campus, and we're south of 34th Street, and we're essentially in between Guadalupe and Speedway. And fun fact, Barrett Raven lore is I actually lived here, almost 20 years ago now, during college when I was a student at UT. I lived right over here with one of my besties, Leif. Leif, I love you. We absolutely loved living in this neighborhood because it's just a really calm, peaceful area. It's kind of a common theme of this video today with these neighborhoods. And we loved like the super eclectic mix of houses. So you've got these like big kind of like estate style homes here. Most of the homes here were built somewhere between the 1910s and the 1950s. Even a lot of the ones that have been like super updated, they might look like new construction, but they're really just like kind of modern renovations. But yeah, you've got bungalows, estate style homes, just so many cool places here. And honestly, I go on a walk with a couple friends every week, and we always walk through this neighborhood. And I just still, to this day, I've been walking around this neighborhood for 20 years now, and I just love looking at the houses. I love looking at the yards and the interesting landscaping, and there's just so much to see here. So yeah, the vibes in Aldridge Place are definitely going to be chill, historic. It is very walkable here, and I would definitely say this part of Austin, Texas is definitely type A and type B walkable. So you got a lot of great kind of coffee shops, cafes. You got Civil Goat Coffee right over here. You have Counter Cafe, where my family, we go every single Saturday morning for breakfast. If you're a Starbucks person, we got a couple of those right over here. I mean, there's really, you got everything over here at your fingertips. Okay, now in terms of price points, if you want to consider this neighborhood, like you have to be willing to pay at least around $1.5 million, again, for a home that's probably gonna need a lot of work. And for some of these more estate style homes, I mean, a lot of them sell off market. And what I've experienced is they sell for around 4, 5, sometimes around $6 million. So it's something that you're gonna wanna be prepared for. Now, a couple of the pros of this area are, one, it is again, super walkable, and it is shocking to me that more people do not know about this area. It's shocking to me that more people don't talk about this area. And yeah, another pro is that you're close to stuff here. Like, if you want to be walkable in every sense of the phrase, this is a neighborhood that you should definitely consider. Now, a couple of cons about this neighborhood. Number one is we are very close to campus. And again, I know this from experience because my family and we live right across Guadalupe from this area. And there are a lot of students. And so it can feel kind of transient sometimes. Every now and then you do have kind of loud parties. We keep it pretty chill in this area, and the UT Police Department, they've been really cracking down on loud parties over here, but it's definitely something like you're gonna need to keep in mind. It's just part of being this close to campus is there's gonna be a lot of students. And then another con is that similar to Eubank Acres, in Aldridge Place, there are very rarely homes that go up for sale. And especially kind of these estate style homes, again, you need to work with somebody who knows the area, they have connections here, and they know before anybody else when homes hit the market. So on that note, if you're interested in this area, literally, I essentially live here. And so you definitely need to get a hold of us so that we can kind of put the word out that we have a client looking here. And another thing, I know I don't really need to say this at this point, but this neighborhood can also be pretty cost prohibitive. I mean, again, if you want a home that doesn't need a ton of work, you're probably going to want to plan on spending, at least probably closer to $3 million. And fun fact, this house right here, I've always said, I think this might literally be my favorite house in all of Austin. I just love it.
This is a beautiful house.
Yeah, it's awesome. Look at that. All right, neighborhood number 4 is another neighborhood very close to my heart. Let me just tell you a quick story. So this is in Southeast Austin, and we had a client, again, several years ago. His name's Dave. Dave, I freaking love you. And we were looking at houses with Dave, and he sent us a house, and he was like, hey, there's this neighborhood I really want to be in. It's called Burleson Heights, and here it is. Here's the house. And I was like, I have never heard of this. And to be honest, knowing like what part of town it was in, I was like, do you really want to be in that part of town? Like, it's a little sketchy around there. And he was like, yes, please take me to see this house. I love it. You'll see. And it was another one of those where, again, I had been in real estate for several years at that point and had just never heard of this area. Well, we were on this road that I am literally driving on right now, and we pulled onto this street, Ware Road, which I'm pulling onto right now. And it was just like, wait, what? What is this? Like, this is not like anything in the surrounding area. It is really pretty. It's super quiet, very peaceful. Lots of little traffic. What's the word? Traffic. Road furniture, I think they call it. A lot of road furniture, so you can't even drive fast down these streets if you wanted to. And it's another one of these neighborhoods with mostly pretty small, either 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 3-bed, 2-bath. Maybe there's a couple 4-bedroom houses around here, but just kind of tiny little bungalows. And it is just so quintessential Austin, like of this era. And he and several other of our clients after that ended up buying in this neighborhood, or at least looking in this neighborhood. And it really just kind of captured my heart. And so like nobody in Austin who doesn't live here really knows about this area. It's crazy to me. All right. Okay, so Burleson Heights, where are we, Aaron? Do you know where we are?
We're in Austin.
We are in Austin. Okay, so we are just north of Highway 71, which is also called Ben White. We are just east of I-35. We're south of a big east-west thoroughfare called Oltorf, and it's really just right along a road, shockingly called Burleson Road. And so this is a really interesting little pocket neighborhood, and it really, to me, only consists of 3 very specific streets. So there's Ware, Princeton, and Douglas. In this neighborhood, it kind of mostly consists of kind of 1960s houses. And again, the overwhelming majority of these homes are 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes. Like, look at these things they have here, like as we're walking. Like, again, I call this road furniture, but it's really just to keep people from driving too fast down here, because surprisingly, like, there are really a lot of kids who live in this neighborhood, and our team has helped several people move in and out of this neighborhood, actually. Now, in my opinion, this is like a super little quirky pocket neighborhood of Austin. It's kind of like the anti-Northwest Hills, right? So Northwest Hills is just like some of the houses are just these like estates, and it is immaculate. Tree line is just super idyllic. Burleson Heights is definitely it's gonna feel like a bit kind of rougher around the edges. So yeah, to me, it's just got that kind of like old Austin gritty feel. I personally love it. Okay, so in terms of price points, you're gonna wanna expect to pay in this neighborhood for a good quality house around $600 to maybe $725,000. You can go a little bit higher than that for something that's just really decked out, kind of a Mac Daddy house here. And you can go a little bit below that for something that's gonna need a ton of work. So one pro of Burleson Heights is that you are really close to the airport. So we're right off of Ben White Boulevard. Like I mentioned before, you just shoot right down Burleson and you're on Ben White, and essentially the airport is right down the street. So it's going to be incredibly convenient. Now, I would say a couple cons of Burleson Heights are, like I mentioned before, I think the neighborhood itself is really great. I think it's pretty safe. I know that our clients who have moved here in the past, they absolutely love it and do not plan on going anywhere anytime soon. And I know earlier I said I've helped people move out of this neighborhood. I haven't ever helped anyone move out of this neighborhood who I've helped move into this neighborhood, if that makes sense. Newsflash, half of what our team does is we also help people sell their homes. I know that's shocking. Did you know that, Aaron?
Yeah.
You did know that. And anyway, I've gotten introduced to people here, just neighbors from past. Well, y'all don't care about this. But again, I would say this neighborhood is really great. However, the immediate surrounding areas are honestly like pretty rough around the edges. They feel a little bit sketchy to me. And it's just something that you're gonna wanna keep in mind. And for a lot of people, they actually really like that. That's kind of their vibe, and they want that kind of gritty surrounding area, that true Austin lifestyle. And for some people, they wouldn't consider it at all. And I totally understand both. Does that make sense? What?
Yeah. I'm just laughing because you're like, y'all won't care about this.
Yeah, like, y'all don't care about how I got introduced to the sellers and all that. And look, I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but homes in this neighborhood on these 3 streets very rarely become available. And again, when they do, it's kind of a lot of word of mouth stuff. So if you are interested, we know a lot of people in this neighborhood and you need to get in touch with us ASAP. I should have started, where's my car? Is it behind that? That's where my dad went to elementary school. That's where my dad grew up going to church, where my grandparents went to church. All right, now neighborhood number 5 is a neighborhood that is so close to my heart. And to be honest with you, it might be my favorite neighborhood in Austin. And I can't tell you when I first came to this neighborhood because I was a newborn baby. All right. So my dad grew up in this neighborhood. I'm pretty sure my grandparents the house right next door to my grandparents' house is for sale. So my grandparents, I'm pretty sure, built that house right there brand new. My dad watches all of these videos. Dad, please fact check me on that. And if I'm wrong about that, drop a comment below. Everybody look out for my dad's comment. But for me, like growing up, coming to Austin, visiting my grandparents and everything, and my great grandparents, like to me, this neighborhood, by the way, did I already say it's called Western Trails? To me, this neighborhood was Austin. Like anything outside of this, except for like the UT campus and maybe the Capitol, was just like at the outskirts of the suburbs or something, which is funny to think about now. But to me, Western Trails here is quintessential South Austin. Okay, so here we are. So we're in Western Trails, right? And this house right here is the house that my grandparents built. Again, Dad, please fact check me on this. And so this is the house I grew up coming to. I mean, this is crazy. Like the Kuntzes lived right there. I was good friends with their grandson. The Dansacks lived right here. Crazy. Miss Dansack sold me a Buick LeSabre one time for like $1,000, I think. So super cool. So, funny story. We had Christmas here one year, and on Christmas Day, I got a new bicycle, and it was like my first bike that I had that was like just a 2-wheeler bicycle. It wasn't like didn't have training wheels. It wasn't a tricycle or anything like that. And so I didn't know how to stop on a bicycle, right? And so they put the bicycle right there and they're like, all right, Barrett, let's get ready to go. And I just heard the word go. And so I just put my feet up and I just came This might not seem like that. Look down here. This might not seem like that big of a hill, but I came flying down this driveway all the way down this hill. And I had no idea, how to stop. And so apparently you're supposed to push back on the pedals, but I didn't know. So I just put my feet on the ground, and my mom and dad always say like, my shoes, like the sole got rubbed off of them, and I can just remember my dad just sprinting down this hill. Anyway, it was crazy. It was my first near-death experience, definitely not my last, but I happened to stop when I was like this close to the curb at the very bottom. So here we are today making YouTube videos for you people. Okay, so Western Trails, where are we? What? Why are you laughing at me?
So are we ready? Be cool.
I did. Said that?
No, I think you didn't say that, but that's why I said it. I was like,
Cool.
dude, just be cool. Just be cool out here, friend.
Okay, so where exactly are we at right now? Okay, so like I said before, we are definitely in South Austin, and essentially we are just south of Ben White, otherwise known as Highway 71. We're north of Williamson Creek, and to me, Western Trails proper really sits in between Manchac and Westgate Boulevard. All right, and as you can kind of see all around me, most of these houses are gonna be around 3 to 4 bedrooms with 2 bathrooms. Over here, you're gonna get really generous sized lots, especially compared to up closer to downtown where I live, which is just kind of like teeny tiny little lots. And y'all, I cannot tell you how nostalgic this neighborhood is to me personally. Like, literally, I learned how to ride a bicycle on these streets. Like, I learned how to walk over here. And you know, I guess my extreme biases are on full display in this video because I just personally love bungalow style houses. I love these low slung ranch style 1-story houses. I would just say that's my favorite type of house. And so it's probably clear, you know, all the neighborhoods I've shown you today, that's kind of what you're gonna get in these central Austin neighborhoods. And again, even though our team, we help people all over Austin, all over our great suburbs, and I think those homes have a ton of value and we love them. Me personally, like, I'm a central Austin guy. Now, in terms of price points in Western Trails, on the low end, you're probably gonna be looking at about kind of $600,000 to $700,000. And on the high end, you're probably gonna be looking at, you know, 8 to maybe 875,000. But I mean, honestly, like, it's shocking to me as someone who kind of grew up coming to this neighborhood. I saw a house just right down the street, like a huge new build. I don't even know what the price is on that one yet, but I'm sure it's well into the millions. So turns out these days you can find those types of homes here as well. Let's talk about some pros and cons of Western Trails. Okay, so I would say a huge pro of this area is that in general, for the price that you get, you are pretty centrally located. You're kind of close to all the action. You're close to a lot of conveniences here. Like right down the road over here, there's a Central Market. There is an Austin bouldering project if you like indoor rock climbing, things like that. There's a movie theater right over here, coffee shop, smoothie place, like it's all right here. And honestly, you're right next to like the entrance of South Lamar and everything South Lamar and like downtown Austin have to offer. So like super convenient to everything that people love about Austin. And then I would say one of the cons of Western Trails is even though the lot sizes are pretty big here, the actual home sizes for the price that you have to pay, like the prices are pretty steep. So like honestly, some of the price per square foot of the homes that sell in this area are some of the highest around. And that's just because you have to pay a decent price, you know, $700,000-$800,000, and the house that you get is probably gonna be on the smaller side relative to some of the other areas that we've shown you today. But if you wanna know how some of these neighborhoods compare to our favorite Austin suburbs, check out our suburbs tour playlist right here.